The sun was dying over the plain of Shinar. Birds had stopped flying over the city 3 years ago. The heat from the brick kilns turned them mid-air. They would dip into the rising column of warm air, beat their wings twice, and fall back to earth like burned paper. The slaves who collected the bodies in the morning kept the feathers. Below the kilns, in a torch-lit corridor at the base of the tower, a name was being chanted by 10,000 voices in a single language.
Nimrod, 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 Nimrod.
A name that, in the original Hebrew, does not mean what most people think. It is not a proud title. The name comes from the root word M-R-D, and it carries one specific, chilling meaning. Let us rebel. But here is what most people miss. The tower he built was never destroyed. The Bible never says it was demolished. God scattered the builders. He confused the languages. The construction stopped. But the bricks remained. The blueprint remained. The system remained. And 4,000 years later, the Apostle John would see it again, rising from the sea, riding a beast, marked across the forehead with one word: mystery. What you are about to discover is the forbidden story of the first Antichrist. Not the Antichrist of the end times, the first one, the architect. The man whose blueprint is being followed today in cities he never named by people who do not know they are still laying his bricks. The waters of the flood had only just receded. 8 people stepped off the ark onto a world washed empty. The smell of wet earth, the silence of a planet without crowds, a rainbow still fresh in their memory, and one command from God repeated 3 times in Genesis 9: be fruitful, multiply, and fill the earth. Fill it, spread out, scatter. Noah was still alive, so were his 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. They had walked off the ark together. They had buried the dead world behind them. And for a generation, they obeyed. But something was already moving in the bloodline, through Ham, through his son, Cush. And then a child was born, a boy who would grow up hearing his great-grandfather Noah tell the story of the flood, a boy who would listen to those stories with a strange fire in his eyes. The boy was 8 years old when he stopped trusting God. We can stand inside that ancient tent and listen with him. Noah is telling the story again, the story he always tells. The boy is watching his great-grandfather's hands. Noah's right hand has a scar across the knuckles from a hammer slip building the ark 200 years ago. The boy stares at that scar while Noah talks about drowning children, the waters rising, the screaming, the pounding on the ark's sealed door, the neighbors, the cousins, the babies, all of them gone. And somewhere in the boy's chest, a question takes shape. Why did God get to choose who lived and who drowned? He does not say it out loud, not yet. He files it away. He carries it with him into manhood. And by the time Genesis 10 introduces him to us, that boyhood question has hardened into a man's mission. His parents did not name him Nimrod. No mother gives her son a name that means, let us rebel. That name was given to him later, by the Hebrew scribes who watched what he did with his life. His name is not what he called himself. His name is the verdict written on his tomb. And so we are going to ask 3 forbidden questions about this man. Who was he really? What did he build that the Bible refuses to forget? And why, when John saw the final beast rising from the sea 2,000 years later, did the prophecy still smell like brick dust from the plain of Shinar? And Cush begot Nimrod. He began to be a mighty one in the earth. He was a mighty hunter before the Lord. The Hebrew here is loaded. The word mighty is gibor, strong man, tyrant, one who prevails by force. And here is what most readers miss. This is the exact same Hebrew word used in Genesis 6, 4 chapters earlier, to describe the Nephilim, the giants whose corruption brought the flood in the first place. The Septuagint, the ancient Greek translation of the Old Testament, makes the connection explicit. It translates Gibor in Genesis 10 as gigas, giant. The Targum Neophiti, an Aramaic translation from the 4th century AD, goes even further. It renders the verse, "He was a giant in sin before the Lord." In other words, the same evil that humanity had just been judged for, the spirit of tyranny, of dominion by force, of giants ruling over men, was rising again. In one man, a mighty hunter. The Hebrew word for hunter is tsayid, and the rabbis understood something we have lost. Augustine of Hippo, writing in the 4th century, put it this way: Nimrod was not a hunter of beasts, he was a deceiver, an oppressor, a slayer of earthborn creatures. He hunted men. He hunted them with promises. He hunted them with fear. He hunted them with the one weapon nobody could resist, a vision so big that they would surrender their freedom to be part of it. And the phrase that follows is the most chilling of all. He was a mighty hunter before the Lord. The Hebrew is lipnei YHWH, literally, to the face of God. Some ancient rabbis were so disturbed by this phrasing that they argued it should be translated in defiance of. Nimrod hunted in God's face. He looked up at heaven, and he hunted anyway. This was not a man who forgot God. This was a man who declared war. The old man was 73 years old when the soldiers came for him. His name was Ozem. He had known Noah personally. As a boy, he had sat at Noah's feet and heard the story of the ark from the only voice that had ever heard the rain come. Now Ozem was the elder of a clan that lived 2 days' walk from the city. His clan had refused to send laborers to the tower. The soldiers tied his hands. They walked him through the city streets to the throne room. The new mortar was still wet under his sandals. Footprints would stay in it, every man's mark, baked permanent by tomorrow's sun. Nimrod was on the throne. He was younger than Ozem expected. The chance outside had built him into something cosmic. Up close, he was just a man with thick wrists and dark eyes that did not blink enough.
You will not send your sons to my tower.
Ozem did not bow.
My sons belong to the God of Noah. My great-grandfather walked off the ark. We obey the one who built it.
Nimrod was silent for a long time. He studied the old man's face the way a hunter studies a track. Then he gestured. A guard stepped forward holding a small boy, 6 years old. The boy was not crying. He was confused. He kept looking at his grandfather, waiting to be told what was happening. "This is your grandson," Nimrod said. "Yes." It was not a question. Ozem's mouth opened. Nothing came out. Nimrod stood up. He walked down from the throne. He took a knife from his belt, a small one, almost ceremonial, and he killed the boy in front of his grandfather without ever raising his voice. Then he sat back down on his throne and wiped the blade on his robe. "Walk home," he said.
Tell your daughter what happened. Tell her why. Then send me your other sons by the next moon, or come back yourself, and we will do this again.
They cut Ozem's ropes. They turned him toward the door. He walked. He walked the 2 days back to his village. He did not weep. The weeping would come later when he saw his daughter's face in the doorway. This is how Nimrod built his kingdom. Not with armies, with one elder at a time, sent home to terrify 100 more. The Hebrew text gives this kingdom a word that had never been used before in human history. Malkuth, kingdom. Genesis 10:10 says, "And the beginning of his kingdom was Babel, and Erech, and Akkad, and Calneh in the land of Shinar." He did not stop there. The text continues, "He pushed north and founded Nineveh, Calah, Resen, the future Assyrian Empire. Centuries later, the prophet Micah would still call Assyria the land of Nimrod. His name had become a synonym for tyranny that lasted 1,000 years. Have you ever wanted control so badly that you forgot you were never meant to have it? That fear became a tower. Enosh ran his fingers along the mortar. It was black, sticky, cold to the touch. Bitumen, the same substance Noah had used 150 years earlier to seal the ark against the waters of judgment. Enosh's grandfather had worked on the lower levels. His father had died on level 41. Now Enosh was 34 years old, and his hands knew the weight of a brick the way other men's hands knew their wives. He looked up. The tower disappeared into the night sky, swallowed by clouds the lamps could not pierce. Above him, somewhere in that darkness, men were still working. He could hear the hammers, faint, distant, like a heartbeat far away. "How high does it go, Father?" Kenan was 9, standing beside him in the dust, watching the torchlight. Enosh did not answer. He did not know. No one knew anymore. They had stopped counting the levels 3 years ago. The Book of Jubilees, an ancient Jewish text, claims the tower took 43 years to build. 43 years. Stop and feel that. A man who began the project as a young husband would die before its completion. His grandson would still be hauling bricks. An entire human lifetime, birth to grave, consumed by a single tower. Babies were born in the shadow of its scaffolding. Old men were buried beside its kilns, and not one of them ever saw the top. The architecture was a ziggurat. We know this because the archaeologists know this. The ruins of the Etemenanke ziggurat in Babylon, excavated in 1913 by the German archaeologist Robert Koldewey, matched the description in Genesis exactly. Burnt brick, bitumen mortar. The Sumerians called it the house that is the foundation of heaven and earth. But Genesis 11:4 tells us what the builders called it. They said it among themselves in a single language that everyone still understood. "Come, let us build us a city and a tower, whose top may reach unto heaven. And let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth." 3 sentences, 3 rebellions. Let us build a tower whose top may reach unto heaven. They wanted to invade God's space. Let us make us a name. They wanted to replace God's name with their own. Lest we be scattered. They wanted to disobey God's command to fill the earth. And Josephus adds one final, terrifying detail. The 1st century historian writes that Nimrod promised the people he would avenge their forefathers who died in the flood. The tower was not just tall, it was waterproof. The bitumen was not decorative, it was strategic. If God ever sent another flood, this tower would rise above it. Nimrod was not building a monument, he was building a citadel from which to wage war on heaven. But on the night the wind shifted, Nimrod was alone. He had climbed to the highest level. The workers were gone for the night. The torches below looked like a constellation lying on its back. Above him, only stars. The wind up here was different, colder, thinner, with a strange high sound, like air moving through a flute carved from bone. He stood at the edge, and he prayed. Not to Yahweh, he had abandoned that name decades ago. He prayed to the stars, to the architecture under his feet, to the work of his own hands. He prayed to the first thing he had ever truly trusted, which was himself. But underneath the prayer, another voice rose, smaller, older. The voice of an 8-year-old boy who had once stared at the scar on Noah's hand. What if it is not high enough? He pushed the thought down. It came back. What if the waters come again, and we have built it 10 cubits too short? The man who had declared war on heaven, the king who terrified elders into walking home with their grandsons in their arms, stood alone on his tower in the dark and understood, for one black moment, that he had spent 40 years building the same thing every frightened child builds: a wall against the rain. Then he turned. He climbed back down. He gave orders to add another level by the new moon. By morning, the chants of his name had started again. And nobody, not Enosh below, not the priests, not even his wife, would ever know that the first Antichrist of the human race had spent the night of the wind shift praying to bricks because he was afraid of God. And the Lord came down. Read that line again. Genesis 11:5. And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the children of men builded. Stop and feel the irony. They had built it to reach heaven, and from heaven, God had to come down to even see it. It is one of the most devastating sentences in the Bible. All their pride, all their bricks, all their decades of labor. From the throne of the universe, it looked so small that he had to descend to inspect it. Like a parent kneeling to look at a child's sandcastle. But what he said next is what saved humanity. Genesis 11:6. And the Lord said, Behold, the people is one, and they have all one language, and this they begin to do. And now nothing will be restrained from them which they have imagined to do. Read that line slowly. Nothing will be restrained from them. God himself acknowledges it. A unified humanity in rebellion is unstoppable. Whatever they imagine, they will do. And what they were imagining in the shadow of that tower was not just architecture. It was the worship of self. It was the institutionalization of the Nephilim spirit. It was a future so dark that the language confusion was not punishment. It was mercy. The morning came. A foreman climbed the scaffolding to give orders. He shouted to his crew. The crew stared back at him with empty faces. He shouted again, louder, slower, the way you do when you think someone simply did not hear. They still did not hear. They heard sounds. The sounds were not words. Down at the base of the tower, Enosh turned to his grown son, Kenan, now 23, working beside his father for 10 years. Enosh said his son's name. Kenan's mouth opened to answer. The sound that came out was not language. It was a string of syllables that meant nothing in Enosh's ears. Kenan tried again, slower, louder. His eyes were beginning to widen. Enosh reached for him. Kenan flinched. A husband turned to his wife and spoke her name. She did not answer, because she could no longer hear her name in his voice. Two children who had played together that morning could no longer share a single word. The mother who had whispered prayers over her newborn that dawn could no longer understand the cry coming from his crib. Multiply that across hundreds of thousands of people, all standing in the shadow of an unfinished tower, suddenly alone in the most crowded place on earth. There is a particular kind of loneliness that comes when the people closest to you can no longer understand what you are saying. Babel. The Hebrew word means confusion, but the Akkadian original, Babilim, means Gate of the Gods. They had named their tower the Gate of the Gods. God turned their boast into their epitaph. The dispersion began. Families staggered away from each other in shock, dragging children who no longer understood their parents. Kenan walked west with his mother, who could still understand him in some halting fragment of the new tongue she had been given. Enosh tried to follow. He could not keep up. The last time he saw his son, Kenan was looking back over his shoulder, mouthing a word his father could no longer hear. 2 months later, Enosh sat alone beside the abandoned tower. He was the only person left in the city. He picked up a brick. He set it down. He picked up another brick. He set it down. The wind moved through the empty scaffolding and made a sound like distant voices speaking words he no longer knew. He had not eaten in 3 days. He was not hungry. He was waiting. He did not know what for. The kilns were cold. The chants were gone. The name of Nimrod, chanted by 10,000 voices a single season ago, had been carried away in 100 different directions and 100 different languages, each of them carrying a piece of him, each of them planting it in different soil. Enosh picked up one more brick. He held it against his chest. And then, very quietly, an old man in an empty city, he began to weep. It is 2,500 years later. A man named John is sitting on a rocky island in the Aegean Sea. The Roman Emperor Domitian has exiled him there. His friends are dead. The other apostles have been executed. He is the last living eyewitness of the resurrection. He is old. He is alone. And on the Lord's day, the heavens open, and he is given the most terrifying vision in human history. He sees a woman. She is dressed in scarlet and purple. She rides a beast with 7 heads and 10 horns. She holds in her hand a golden cup full of abominations. And on her forehead, written in a single word, is a name that has been waiting 4,000 years to surface. Mystery. Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. Babylon. The same word, the same name. The same city Nimrod founded on the plain of Shinar. John writes it in Greek, but the meaning is preserved. Babel, confusion, gate of the gods. And the word mystery in front of it is no accident. The Greek is mysterion. In the 1st century, that word did not mean a puzzle. It was a technical term. It referred to the secret initiation cults of the ancient world, the mystery religions of Eleusis, of Mithras, of Isis. Cults where you could not know the truth unless you had been initiated. Cults that worshipped a dying and rising God, a queen of heaven, and a divine child. John is naming what Babylon truly is. Babel did not end in Genesis 11. The bricks fell silent. The languages scattered. But the religion survived. It went underground. And when the people walked away from that abandoned tower, they carried something with them. The traditions of the rabbis tell us what happened to Nimrod after the dispersion. He was eventually killed. But his wife, Semiramis, preserved the cult. She declared that Nimrod had not died, but ascended. She made him a god. She named him the sun god, and she declared that her son, Tammuz, was the reincarnation of her husband. A divine father, a divine mother, a divine child. This 3-part deity spread across the ancient world as humanity scattered. In Egypt, they called him Osiris, Isis, and Horus. In Phoenicia, they called him Baal, Astarte, and Tammuz. In Babylon, they kept the original names. And the prophet Ezekiel records something staggering. In Ezekiel 8:14, he is given a vision of the temple in Jerusalem. And at the gate of God's own house, the women of Israel are weeping for Tammuz. The cult of Nimrod had infiltrated even the people of God. And then there is the number, Revelation 13:18. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. 666. The ancient Babylonian priests were obsessed with numerology and astrology. Their religion identified 36 gods in the supreme pantheon, 6 for each of the 6 planetary categories. They created amulets called magic squares, a 6x6 grid containing the numbers 1 through 36, arranged so that every row, column, and diagonal added to the same total. The total of the entire grid? 666. The number of the beast is not a random code for a single future man. It is the mathematical signature of an entire religion. A religion born on the plain of Shinar. A religion engineered by Nimrod. A religion that worshipped human achievement, deified the king, and demanded universal allegiance. The first Antichrist did not invent that religion in his own mind. He gave it a tower. He gave it a name. And he gave it a blueprint that has been waiting all this time for someone to finish. Imagine for a moment a checkpoint. Her name is Maya. The lighting is fluorescent. The walls are white. There is the faint hum of a scanner mounted in the ceiling. The hum is at the edge of hearing, a frequency she will never quite be able to forget. A line of ordinary people stands waiting. Mothers with strollers, old men with grocery bags, a teenage girl looking at her phone, a father holding his daughter's hand. Maya is 41 years old. She has 2 children at home. She has not slept in 3 days. A toddler in line ahead of her is laughing at the lights on the scanner. He is 2 years old. He is wearing a small blue jacket. He keeps reaching toward the green light, and his mother keeps gently pulling his hand back. A woman steps forward. The scanner reads her hand. A green light. She passes through. The next person steps forward. A red light. Quiet. Polite. "I'm sorry, ma'am. We'll need you to wait over here." She is told she cannot buy, she cannot sell, she cannot enter. Not because of who she is, not because of what she has done, but because she has refused one small mark. Revelation 13:16-17. "And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark." This is not a science fiction film. This is a prophecy 4,000 years in the making, and every line of it is the architectural completion of what Nimrod started. Nimrod centralized humanity. Revelation 13:7 says the beast will be given authority over every tribe and people and language and nation. Nimrod built a system to make a name for ourselves. Revelation 13:15 says the beast will demand worship of his image. Nimrod stamped his subjects with allegiance. Revelation 13:16 says the beast will stamp his subjects with a mark. Nimrod built on the plain of Shinar. Zechariah 5, in a strange and chilling vision, sees a basket of wickedness carried back to the land of Shinar, back to the original site, to be set on its base in the last days. The first city Nimrod built, and the last city the Antichrist will rule, have the same name. The first religion Nimrod founded, and the last religion the Antichrist will impose, have the same number. The first global rebellion in human history, and the final global rebellion in human history, are not 2 stories. They are one story. And every choice, in heaven and on earth, will narrow to a single moment. A hand, a forehead, a number. Not for armies, not for kings, for one ordinary person trying to feed her children. Maya steps forward. The scanner asks for her hand. She does not give it. In that long second, something rises in her that she did not plan. Not theology, not courage, a memory. Her grandmother's hands kneading bread on a Saturday morning in a kitchen that smelled of yeast and cinnamon. The way her grandmother had hummed an old hymn she could not remember the words to. The way the hymn had stopped when her grandmother died. That is what she thinks of. Not heaven, not hell. Cinnamon. The guard repeats the request. Her hand stays at her side. The red light comes. "I'm sorry. They lead her to a bench against the wall. She sits. She watches the line continue without her. The toddler in the blue jacket is at the front now. The scanner reads his mother's hand. Green light. The mother lifts her son through. As she carries him past the bench, the toddler turns and waves at Maya. She waved back. I always thought I would have the courage to refuse. I never knew refusal would feel this small. Every age thinks it has invented something new, but the heart that built Babel is the same heart that builds today, and the same heart that beats inside us when we choose ourselves over our Maker. Babel is not a story. Babel is a blueprint, and the architect was Nimrod. But the story does not end with the beast. Every tower of human rebellion in history has ended the same way. Babel fell silent. Babylon fell to Persia. Persia fell to Greece. Greece fell to Rome. Rome fell to time. And one day, Mystery Babylon, the final, perfected version of Nimrod's tower, will fall too. Revelation 18 ends with a mighty angel taking up a stone like a great millstone and casting it into the sea. Thus with violence shall that great city Babylon be thrown down, and shall be found no more at all. No more at all. Forever. And then, in Revelation 21, John lifts his eyes and sees something else. Not a tower built by men reaching up toward heaven, a city coming down from heaven, built by God for people who refused to bow. There have always been two cities. The city of man, founded by Nimrod, built on bricks, fueled by pride, named for the gate of false gods. And the city of God, founded by Christ, built on grace, fueled by love, named for the King of Kings. Two cities, two builders, two kingdoms. And every human heart, right now, today, is laying bricks for one of them. Listen carefully. The version of the tower you are building right now is the one you are most reluctant to admit. It has your name on the bricks. It rises in the place in your life where you have decided you do not need God to be in charge. You know which place. You did not need this video to remind you. That tower has a height. You have measured it. You know exactly how tall it is, even if you have never spoken about it out loud, even to yourself. Nimrod built upward and lost everything. Christ stooped down and gained the world. He did not climb a tower to reach heaven. He came down from heaven to reach you. The God Nimrod was afraid of, the God who had to descend to even see Babel, descended again, this time not to a tower of bricks, but to a hill of skulls. He let humanity nail him to wood that grew in the same earth where Babel's bricks were baked. And he did it for one reason, so that the small daily rebellion in your heart would not have to be the last word on your life. If this story has reached something deep in you, if you have felt the weight of a tower you did not realize you were building, take a moment with God right now. He is not coming down to inspect your tower this time. He came down 2,000 years ago to take it apart, brick by brick, with his own bleeding hands. If this video has stirred your faith, give it a like. Subscribe so you do not miss the next forbidden story buried inside the pages of Scripture. Share it with someone who needs to see what is hiding in plain sight from Genesis 11 to Revelation 17. And tell me in the comments, if Babel never truly ended, where do you see it standing today? The bricks are still being laid. The question is, whose city you are building?